Greetings and thank you for joining us for the 23rd episode of DC Animation with Spenser and Friends. This is an LMG Podcast Production. Today, I'm joined by a dear friend.
It's your boy, Jonathan John here again, aka Juice Man.
Juice Man is back with us today. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. This will be the people's second time hearing you on an episode. And, I think that it should be a good one. Now, we have kind of already talked about your DC consumption in the last episode, but in case this is anybody's first episode, can you review that for us a little bit? What DC you consume and how you consume it?
So I really don't read the comics like that, but I kind of catch them every here and there, like but if I'm just randomly searching some information or Facebook or something. But mostly watching TV shows or movies or basically just things of that nature is where I've consumed most DC things.
Well, the movies and TV shows are good. So, well, some of the movies. TV shows are good, but yeah, the live action movies are spotty, but
The movies they're hit or miss, depending on what hero you are watching.
yeah.
So
But luckily, the animated movies are fire, which is why we're here. That's the whole
always.
reason we're here. And so, I appreciate you for joining us on this journey through DC animation. Today's film is Batman versus Robin. Released April 7th, 2015, and the comic book on which it was based is Batman Night of the Owls. I will read a synopsis in my own words, and then we're just going to talk about it. You've been here before. You know how this works. So, we open on a snowy night with Batman and Robin in an abandoned city looking for kidnapped children. Robin stole the Batmobile and kept Batman out of the loop as far as information that he'd gathered. In the old shot toy factory, Robin is able to find the children, but then comes face to face with Dollmaker. Robin has to fight off a group of children that Dollmaker has turned into dolls. Batman arrives and frees the kidnapped children while Damian goes after Dollmaker. Robin is ready to put Dollmaker down, but reminds himself what Batman taught him: justice, not vengeance. But then a mysterious person comes and Mortal Kombat fatalities Dollmaker. He tells Robin to trust his instincts and disappears into the trees. Batman finds a feather left at the scene. Back at the manor, Bruce is on a date with a woman named Samantha. Bruce is about to seal the deal, but Damian suddenly makes himself known with a well-timed snore. Samantha has to leave, so Bruce and Damian have a little father-son movie night. Later, Robin tries to leave the manor, but finds that security measures have been implemented to keep him from leaving. Robin and Nightwing have a little spar while Batman goes to investigate where the feather came from, the feather that he found. He ends up at the museum where he finds the owl from which the feather came. In a flashback, we see that Thomas Wayne tells a young Bruce about the Court of Owls, calling it a myth. After the death of his parents, he thought the Court of Owls was responsible. In present day, owl assassins show up and, they start throwing good hands. Just as Batman is about to get murked, the assassins melt and he passes out. Meanwhile, Robin finds some thugs attacking a couple and puts the paws on them. Then Talon introduces himself and takes Robin to his house. He tells Robin that he will cross the lines that Batman won't, and that he wants Robin to join him. He gives Robin some time to think about it and tells him not to tell Batman, of course. When Robin returns to the manor, he gets scolded by Bruce. So he leaves again and hits the button to let Talon know that he has made a decision. While on his way to a date with Samantha, Bruce is brought to the Grand Master of the Court of Owls. They offer him a membership as they want to make Gotham great again. But Bruce puts a tracker on the mask that they offered him, and he asks for some time to think it over. The court is trying to make immortal warriors that they can use to take over Gotham, and they want to make Talon immortal as well so that he can run things. As a crime boss is bragging about his accomplishments, Talon and Robin show up and just ruin everybody's evening. Talon wants Robin to finish him, but Robin decides not to. Talon tells Robin about his backstory, and then Batman shows up. Batman wants to stop Talon, but Robin won't let him. So Batman and Robin fight, and Robin makes his decision to join Talon. Talon and Samantha are fucking, and we learn that Samantha is the one running the Court of Owls. Batman is investigating the sewers and finds the Court of Owls, but ends up getting drugged, and he has some hallucinations. But he is saved by Nightwing and Alfred. Back at the court, Damian is about to get inducted when they ask him to remove his mask. Seeing that he is Bruce Wayne's ward, the Grand Master deduces that Bruce Wayne is Batman and decides that killing Damian would be more effective in their plans to hurt Batman. Talon is ordered to kill Damian, but sees himself in Damian, so he starts attacking the court, kills the Grand Master, and goes after Bruce Wayne. Talon and his army attack the Wayne Manor, and Batman and Nightwing get to work. Robin is able to contact Alfred and lets him know that the assassins can't stand the cold. Batman puts on the motherfucking mech suit, and Alfred is able to freeze the Batcave, which stops the army. Batman and Talon have their one-on-one, and things aren't looking good for Batman. But Damian shows up, and Talon uses Damian to kill himself. Damian doesn't know who he is anymore, and he needs to go find himself. So Bruce recommends that he goes into the mountains to, chill out with the monks that Bruce stayed with in his youth. Credits. So, Juice Man, what'd you think of the movie?
Man, I'm not even gonna cap to you. This honestly has this is my first time watching this movie. And this is probably one of the best Batman movies overall, like entirely from live action to animation that I've seen. And I've never felt excited to talk about I never felt excited to just talk about a Batman movie with somebody since seeing what is it, The Dark Knight Returns, whichever one is with Joker.
The Dark Knight.
Like, if this was made into a live action, like I can see it going crazy, because everything about the movie was genuinely good, for it to be like an hour 20 minutes or hour 30 maybe. No, the movie was solid the whole way through.
I love that. I'm so glad you feel that way. That's why we have this journey. That is why I invited you here. Just to show the people that we got quality stuff here.
No, because this one just went crazy compared to the last one. Like, I was like watching, I was like, okay, maybe we'll see or whatnot. But nah, this one went, I was glued the whole way through. Like, okay, now I feel like I need to watch the next one just because of how good this one was.
Excellent. I love it. So we reviewed Son of Batman together, and that is why I had you on this episode, because this is a pretty direct sequel to Son of Batman.
Yeah.
And so we see that, Damian has adopted Bruce's mantra, the, justice, not vengeance. And we see that Damian is actually putting it to pretty good use, because Damien with Dollmaker, Damien was absolutely put in a situation where it's like, no, I would love to tear your heart out right now
You only
because
thought he was gonna do it at first. I was like, okay, maybe this is just a little character development, so he's gonna do it right now.
yeah, and because Dollmaker deserved it.
Oh, for sure.
Like he was kidnapping children and turning them into dolls, and also, P.S. Dollmaker was huge.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Dollmaker, like, and this may sound absurd, but like Dollmaker was too big to be as scared as he was.
I was actually surprised. Well, we'll probably talk about this again, but Damien was really fighting majority of the time. He was fighting the biggest niggas every single fight. He
Yep.
was not fighting the skinny, agile. No, he was fighting the biggest dude he could find, and every time he was locking it up.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that in the first movie. He went after Ubu himself, and Ubu is Slade's muscle.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of his bodyguard. And Damien went to his house and ruined his evening. So yeah, Damien is about it. And Damien planned on running this job alone because he kept Batman in the dark with the information that he found.
From the get-go.
So I don't know how familiar you are with the shots, but Dollmaker's father is Toyman.
No, I have no idea.
And there are several different versions of Toyman, but one of the Toymans that is a villain is I think I can't remember if Winslow was the father or the son. I feel like Winslow's the son and the dad is not Winslow, but regardless, yeah, Toyman is who most people know, and his son Dollmaker. I've only seen his son as a good guy in Supergirl. So in the Supergirl TV show that the CW has, Win is her man in the chair, pretty much. Making all the stuff and the smart guy in the room and all that, and that's who he is. So it was very different seeing him in this, even though Supergirl came out after this movie did. But it took me watching this movie this time to realize those were the same person. But yeah. Anyway, Dollmaker was pretty creepy, but also like surprisingly afraid.
This I realized even from the beginning of the movie, it started dark. Like it felt dark immediately, and I was like, okay, this whole thing feels dark.
Yeah, we opened with kidnapped children.
Yeah,
and then we saw a man basically turn children into dolls. Which, have you seen Batman Beyond, the Joker, Return of the Joker?
Yes, and that's
you remember what
dark.
Robin went through?
Yeah,
and like those kids reminded me of Robin in that movie.
Oh, no, that.
I mean that was much more drastic, I would say. But yeah, they just anytime kids are manipulated and turned into these, it's not right. But
then getting the smack kicked out of them.
Yeah, but they opened up, yeah, real dark. And then Dollmaker is kind of, begging for his life, and Damien decides to spare him. And then Talon is like, nah, we're not doing that. He deserves to die, and you need to follow your instincts, kid. And then he disappears, and then Bruce is like, what have you done? And then whenever Damien was like, you think I did this? It's like, yeah, I do. There's nobody else here. Why?
I literally thought the movie right then and there was going to start off like the title immediately. I thought immediately like, oh, Damien's not having this. He's leaving right now.
Oh, you thought they was just gonna fight in the snow?
I thought he was about to lock. Then he was gonna leave, and I'm like, okay, this is about to be the movie. Basically, these two are about to be at it the whole movie. But granted, he did explain himself, which that's another thing I liked about this movie. There were a lot of points where they did things someone in real life would actually do. They didn't just play the movie off in a weird way to where characters would do something kind of weird and then like they tried to make that be the movie, such as this scene. Like, because I could imagine them being like, oh, Damien doesn't explain himself. Him and Batman goes at it. Now Damien left. Or the scene of Samantha realizing who Damien and immediately putting the pieces together that, oh, Bruce must be Batman.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a certain like level of movies like that to where they just act like the character just wouldn't know or certain things like that. I'm like, I'm glad they made it obvious. Pieces are putting together. People are explaining themselves. There's dialogue.
Yeah. And I think that it was realistic in that Damien, while he's mature in certain ways, he's very immature in other ways. And I think that this is one of those situations where his immaturity showed a little bit because it stands to reason that Batman would assume he did this.
Well, immediately, if I
like
show up and you basically you want to kill everybody, and I show up and the nigga's heart is torn out, and I'm gonna be like, what'd you do?
That's the thing. When I met you, you were a killer, and that was not that long ago.
Exactly.
And there's nobody else here. Like, if I saw Talon, oh, I know it wasn't you. There's nobody here, and he didn't rip out his own heart out of his back. So, yeah, I'm gonna think it's you. And then I did also like whenever Damien said, no, I didn't do it, and Batman said, then who did? Like, Batman believed him.
Yeah.
And I don't think Damien realized that. I think Damien was still stuck on, oh, I can't believe you thought I would do something. Yeah, hell yeah, I thought you'd do something like this. That's what you've been doing.
And that's why I'm like, I appreciate the dialogue of the movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Batman, I think that that was I like that Batman believed him. And as annoyed as I was, I like that there was some character there. Like we saw that Damien was pissed off that Batman would accuse him of doing this, and like it didn't occur to him that was perfectly reasonable for Batman to do. He was just thinking, I can't believe you would and it's kid brain, like it just I see how Damien got where he was and like why he was pissed off about it, but also Batman handled it pretty well, I think, because Batman just said, after all that I've been teaching you, you resorted back to your ways. And then he was like, no, I didn't do it. And then Batman was like, oh, who did? And then Batman found the evidence that Damien didn't do it. So it was like, oh, all right.
Problem solved immediately.
Yeah, we're good. So yeah, that was again, the dialogue, that was good. So then we see that Batman is, on a date at the house. And it's with, somebody who's, elite as far as money goes. Somebody who's obviously doing well for herself or comes from a family with money. And Batman shows her his, vision for a better Gotham. Because he said, I have the time, I have the imagination, and I have the resources to make it happen. So I want Gotham to be better. And yeah, I'm going to move forward with it. And as the, head of the Court of Owls, which we don't know yet, she was like, I think I like what you got going on here.
I was thinking at first, I was like, when I first was watching, I was like, man, this nigga's stunning. Now he's stunning for the date. Now she over and you over here stunning what you got. Yeah. What you plan on doing with the whole city. All right.
Yeah. Like he already mapped it out. Like it's already, I already got the plan. It's just a matter of execution at this point.
My nigga said, hold on, come and check this out real quick.
Yeah, let me show you a little something.
Let me show you something real quick.
Yeah. And then of course, Damien just being difficult. And I guess it didn't matter because she had to leave anyway.
I genuinely at first actually thought like I did think that he was there by accident, and then something caused me to have to pause it. And then I like rewinded a little bit after I unpaused it. And I was like, oh no, this nigga was playing. No, he
Yeah.
placed himself there
Yes,
intentionally.
he did. He absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, that was very intentional. And a part of me wonders, is that Damien's hope that his parents will get back together? Like, is he like intentionally trying to stop Bruce from getting anywhere with anybody for that reason?
I was
Or
thinking like it was coming from like I I want my dad to myself type of behavior. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
Like I don't want nobody else coming in the picture trying to interfere. Like I always feel like that's what he acts with Grayson.
Oh, that's absolute yes.
So I kind of felt like it was the same way with this woman. It was either that or he since he's been feeling like he's on lockdown, he wants someone to know that he exists. He wants someone else to know that he exists. So he did it intentionally.
Yeah. And I think everything is at play. It is kind of a selfish desire to have Bruce to himself. It may or may not be that he's holding out hope that his parents will get back together, but yeah, he definitely doesn't want to be a secret anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think that may be the motivation behind it, was because that's one of the things that Bruce was saying is like, we can't announce you yet, but when we do, it's going to be glorious. So just
Get
hold
that
on.
paperwork. Okay, quick question. I was definitely trying to wondering this. His size, like he's he's built like he's 8. And I'm like, I don't know if he's supposed to be like 12.
I assume he's an early teenage or like preteen to.
I'm like, I feel like if he was like 13, he'd be a little bit bigger. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Some people got late spurts.
I guess you're right. He just seems really small for the age that I'm assuming he's supposed to be at. That's why I'm like, what is he like 5? Like, but I'm like, there's no way this 5-year-old. Like, I was just trying to put the pieces together. I'm like, I don't know, because this is his age right now is just not lining up to how he visually looks.
He's got to be somewhere between 10 and 13,
And
I
that's why
think.
I was putting him at 10. I was like, he must be like 10 or 11. And I was like, that must be where he's at. 10 or 11, you're not that big, you're not that tall, but you at least have understanding of a lot of things.
Yeah, because by 10, with the size he's probably gonna be, by 10, he should be like 5 foot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Because I think that's a good point, because whenever we see the Bruce Wayne flashbacks, it feels like Bruce is younger than Damian was, but they were probably the same size.
Yeah, that was like, because he looks just like Damien, but they're showing visions of him same size as Damien. So I'm guessing supposed to be the same age as Damien,
I
around
feel
the
like
same time.
I feel like Batman was 8 whenever his parents got shot, which fluctuates, I guess. But yeah, I feel like in my head, Batman was 8 years old when that happened.
Yeah.
But
So I can
I,
imagine Damien's around close.
but Damien's got to be at least 10. Like, but also Damian is something different.
That is
So
indeed true.
he might be a 4-year-old, and we just don't. Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like he's between 10 and 13. I want to say he's 12, but that's probably, he should probably be larger.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I feel like he should just be a little bigger, be larger. When he just stands next to Batman, ugh, yeah,
He looks tiny.
yeah. When he was fighting Batman, I was like, yeah, this man is little.
And I yeah, I I agree. Now that I think about it, I didn't think about it, but yeah, thinking about it, he should probably be a little bigger. But that's okay. That's a mistake that doesn't bother me that much.
No, I wasn't thinking about it until like just thinking about some of his like actions. Like sometimes he gives like he's grown, and then like the way he dresses sometimes, like okay, I can see this being a 13-year-old, 13, 14-year-old. But then when he puts on the costume and he's like fighting, I'm like, this nigga looks like he's 7 going to work on people.
Yep, that's the case. Um, so later, Robin tries to leave, and the security measures are put in place, and he has the audacity to be offended.
He
It's like,
literally yelled. He says he yelled, "You're surveilling me or you're watching me or something like that." And I'm like, nigga, you just
yeah, you snuck out
oh,
last night. And don't do this whole like, let me be free. You are a child.
you literally just tried to play into being okay, which I honestly felt like I felt a little like some emotion there when they did the whole watching the movie thing before he snuck out. I felt some emotion there. I was like, okay, this is touching. Like he offered to watch a movie with him right now.
Yeah,
This is very touching. And then next thing I
yeah.
know, I see this nigga sneaking out, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I like the father son bonding that they were doing. And yeah, he was. And then Damien said, just because we watched a movie together don't mean shit.
That nigga definitely shitted on that whole idea
Yep,
immediately. I said, damn.
immediately. It's like, oh, well, God, okay. And then, yeah, so Nightwing has to watch him, babysitting. And the whole Nightwing just being on the phone with Starfire is hilarious. But,
I think it's crazy. I'm like, I guess I've just never realized he's supposed to be a ladies' man. So I'm guessing in this whole series or whatever, he's like a ladies' man because he's always on the phone he's always on the phone.
it's Starfire every time.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So, Starfire and
Yeah.
Robin are together in a lot of things. And so, yeah, like that is who he's on the phone with. And yeah, she's trying to have him.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, because every time I'm like, oh, this is very like this is low-key explicit. This is very a
A
lot of
little bit.
hidden innuendos
Yeah,
here.
because he just said, "Oh, the red one." It's like, oh, all right, we know what's happening here. And yeah, I think it's hilarious. But these movies are not for the kids; these are for us.
Oh, for sure.
And so before that, they're sparring, and Robin is talking that shit to Nightwing, and kind of giving him problems a little bit.
Oh, he was getting a nigga the blues.
Yeah, yeah, poor Nightwing, just been struggling. So Batman ends up at the museum, and he finds the feather, and then we learn the story he was told about the Court of Owls from his father. And we see that after his parents' death, he's like, oh, the Court of Owls did it. So, he tries to, do some, young childhood investigating
Mm.
and kind of comes up empty. And then some owl assassins show up and they start throwing hands. And what I will say is, once, like, Batman was trying to keep it, like, he was trying to keep his fighting pretty PG, but once he realized they weren't
Oh yeah, they were.
alive, he
He started.
got he got lethal.
When I say literally, I was like, one, great storytelling for that whole sequence and scene, great storytelling. And then once th- that fighting scene was probably that was at the point of the movie I was like, oh no, these niggas is fighting. He's fighting right now.
Yeah,
He's putting
he is
in
fighting for his life.
these niggas are putting in sequences of action moves here. Like it's thought out. It's not just they're just throwing fists or whatnot. No, someone went to a martial artist and drew because it was a lot of like fighting techniques that you actually saw in the movie.
And
Um
that's one of my favorite things about this animation is that the fight choreography in it is so good.
yeah.
Like, it's so clean and it's really well done. Like, the fight choreography is so good. And it's one of the reasons I love the Batman movies, is because, with superhero stuff, a lot of it can get very,
I'm just strong as
superhero
fuck, so
stuff.
I'm grabbing a car and
Yeah, a lot
throwing
of
it at you.
throwing,
I'm grab.
a lot of like big punches where people just start flying. But no, this is like real hand to hand.
No, niggas is going at it. No, he was giving them the work. I
Yeah, it
was
was.
like, bro, this is tough. And then when he started getting overwhelmed, I was like, okay, like obviously he's getting his ass kicked here. He's recognizing that. And it's something about me like I like to see when superheroes don't win all the time. He's clearly overwhelmed. He's clearly cannot handle all of these creatures or whatever they are. Owls.
They're undead assassins,
I
I
couldn't.
guess,
I
because they
really couldn't
were
describe what they were.
because yeah, they I mean they're immortal because I think they are corpses that were reanimated for the court.
Yeah, I was like, he twisted one's head around, and I think it kept fighting a little bit before like passed out or
Because like
whatever.
there were a couple of like they'd have a broken bone and they would just crack
Yeah,
and
they
like
kept going.
fix, and I was like, oh shit. But yeah, that's and again, that's one of the things I love is like we watch Batman realize like, oh, these things are not alive.
Oh yeah, because they was it was only like three at first or whatever, and he was
Yeah,
going toe to toe.
he killed one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, like at first he thought they were people, and then once he realized they're not people, oh yeah, all right, let's fucking do this.
he started going in, and then when he tried to when he realized he was overwhelmed and he tried to escape, and they literally just followed his ass and tackled him. I'm like, oh, he's not he's not
Yeah,
just
like
getting away.
he may not make it out of this. And I will
Yeah,
say, whenever they melted, I was like, what the fuck? Just what? Like I was kind of pissed off a little bit.
I had to rewind it because I thought maybe I missed something. Because all I remember seeing is like blood on whatever he landed on behind him, and then blood leaking from his mouth, and then him reaching for help, like with this little beaker or
Bill.
whatever. And I'm like, okay, so what happened to the creatures? They just died? Like, did he do something? Did I miss something? I rewinded it, and I'm just like, no, they just melted out of nowhere. And I was thinking maybe like, oh, somebody pressed a button or something and they got called back or they just went away. I don't know.
That's what I thought. I thought somebody did something to cause that. But then whenever that didn't happen, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, okay, plot armor, that's cool. But we find out they address it later, and I was like, that makes I get it now. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I see
It
how we
just
got here.
lasted the longest
Yeah.
out of the whole.
Um.
Like, okay, okay.
So Robin does find his way out, because Nightwing is on the phone taken, and he finds some thugs, some hooligans, some riffraff, causing problems, and you know I guess the hooligans of Gotham don't care about children because they were ready to, knife him up. And he was like, oh, please come get these motherfucking paws. And yeah, he puts the paws on them. And they're like, dude, we give up. Please.
Like I said, we're done.
We're sorry.
Please let us go.
And that was great. Like, yeah, he was like, no, get up. Well, let's keep this going. Don't give up yet. But they gave up, obviously. And then Talon shows up and he's like, hello, I'm Talon. Come to my house real quick. And, that's not a good sign. Grown man inviting a random stranger child to his apartment. It's probably not great, but that's fine. This is superhero land. And Damian can defend himself, if nothing else. But Talon basically says, I have a lot of respect for Batman. However, he is not a killer. You are, and I am too. So you should join me because I will let you be yourself. And he obviously will not. Here's a thing. Let me know when you're ready. I'll give you some time to think about it. And, Damian's got to, think about that. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention with Damian and Nightwing, Damian still has that real, like, it was funny to me that whenever Damian talks to Nightwing, he has that I'm his real son complex. But whenever he talks to Bruce, he doesn't.
Oh yeah, he says, I think almost every time he talks to Nightwing, he says some kind of comment of like him being his son or like I'm better in some kind of form or fashion every single time. When it comes to Bruce, yeah, he never not once acts like, oh, I'm his son whatsoever.
Well, and yeah, like because we see that whenever Robin comes back to the house and Bruce is scolding him, Bruce is saying, "Where the fuck were you? What were you doing?" All of that. Damien says to him, like, being a sperm donor does not make you my father, like
Yeah.
something to that effect. And I was like, oh, you was talking good shit to Dick earlier this evening. Like
he
you were just telling Dick you're the real son.
he do be going at it. And shout out to Grayson for sure for freaking
For taking it and just putting up with it.
trying to be like an understanding to try to give advice to Bruce, like, oh, he's this and he's that, and Bruce saying, well, he's my son, or he's actually my son. But yeah, him really taking that and really trying to give Bruce advice. And I don't know. I also like these movies because it gives Dick a lot of character also. And it honestly gives still some character development for him as well.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Um about him trying to get in from underneath his shadows and everything else. So, but he's always in, every movie. But no, I think it definitely provides a lot of good development for him.
Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting. Is like Damien changes his tone depending on who he's talking to and how it benefits the point he's trying to make. But that makes sense. Like that's what would happen. And again, as you said, like the conversations are somewhat realistic because right after that, Bruce is kind of like, I don't like, maybe that doesn't make me a father, and maybe that doesn't make him my son. Like he's kind of wild. And Damien hears that and he's like, all right, that's all I needed. I've made my decision. And so Bruce is on his way to a date with Samantha, and Samantha playing like she don't know what's going on. And so Bruce gets brought to the Grand Master of the Court of Owls, and they offer him that they're like, hey, you should be a part of the court. Like you're elite, you already have plans, like we've been watching you for a long time, and we know, all of that. And I am surprised that Bruce didn't deduce at that point that Samantha was at least involved.
I was actually myself, I'm not going to cap to you. I did not suspect her whatsoever. It honestly, to me, I thought he was just on his way. He's getting all of a sudden, tracked down. And so I assumed they figured out who he was. I assumed they figured out he was Batman. And from them figuring out he was Batman, he was just trying to come up with, some kind of excuse with Samantha. I thought maybe this was just genuinely a random love interest. So I myself did not even put those pieces together at that current point in time. And then when he was in front of the Court of Owls, I still thought they think that this is Batman and they plan on doing something to him until conversations happen. And I was like, oh, they don't know he's Batman. They are just trying to get Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There were some twists in here that we weren't ready for.
Yeah.
Because the first time I watched this movie, I thought, oh, Samantha's in the court, but I didn't think she was the Grand Master. Like that's the thing that surprised me, because the fact that she and Bruce were on the date, and the fact that, the Grand Master basically showed Bruce his own plan with Make Gotham Great Again, I was like, oh yeah, Samantha fed that information. Like, yeah, that she's in the court. She's probably up there in a mask right now. But I didn't know that she was the one running it. But that's because she had a voice changer. And
yeah.
Also, like, they threw you off because he was going to meet her. And so we saw her at the restaurant.
And that's why I think I was also I think that's why in my mind, she had nothing to do with it. Like, I did not even deduce her whatsoever. I didn't even suspect, didn't cross until damn near at the end of the movie or close to the end. I knew she was in the Court of Owls. Yeah, I didn't know she was the Grandmaster until close to the end.
I'm so glad this was your first time watching it. Because you can't redo a first time watching something.
Yeah, I was when I literally say, when I found out she was in, my mouth dropped. I said, oh, that's tough. That's tough. And then when I found out she was the Grandmaster, when she recognized Damien, I was like, oh, what? That's crazy.
Because that's the thing. I know that if you blink, you miss it. Like there are some people that didn't catch that that's what was happening, and
Yeah, I
there are
was
some
like,
people
what?
they didn't realize it until Talon takes the mask off
Yeah.
and like her normal voice starts. Because the first time I watched it, I realized it when she and Talon were in the bed. Because whenever she said a seat at my side, I was like, oh, she's in charge.
Oh, I don't even think I thought she was just like, because I was thinking like somebody like her dad or somebody was in charge and she was kind of like just up there. So she was trying to get Talon to be up there with her. So that's why my assumption was like, okay, she's up there. Her family's, probably been the one who's been running it. She's not a person who runs it. Her dad's the person who runs it, maybe. Yeah, the voice changer thing, that still didn't even click until I actually recognized it was her, and I was like, oh shit.
That was the point. I mean that's good shit. So we then find out what the court is doing. They are trying to make immortal warriors that they can use to take over Gotham. And that's when we find out that the ones that they put out only lasted for a couple of hours before they just fall apart. And they also sneak in there the hey, don't keep it too cold in here because they'll break like glass or
Yep.
whatever they said. And so we learn a lot in that little conversation, a lot of pertinent information. We learn stuff that we needed to know in the past of the movie, and then we learn stuff that we need to know for the future of the movie. So that conversation that they have is really important, but it doesn't feel like it's important, but it's really important.
Yeah, because I definitely I recognize it, you know what I'm saying, but I didn't recognize it that it was important until it became important at the end of the movie, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Because I mean, I watched this movie back when it came out, but like whenever the assassins just melted, I did not remember why that happened. And so I needed that conversation for them to say, they only lasted this long, but we're trying to work them up to 24 hours. So
yeah,
that I was like, oh, that's why they just melted. Okay. Because I thought somebody did something, somebody hit a button, somebody caused that, and that's not what happened. So, and I thought initially, because I remember they did ask Bruce to be a part of the Court of Owls, and I thought the first time I watched it, I also thought they knew. And so I was like, oh, they melted those guys because they didn't want Bruce dead so that they could offer him a position for the Court of Owls later.
yeah.
So I thought that they, melted those things remotely the first time I watched it after, like, while Bruce was getting the offer. I was like, oh, that's why those things melted.
Yeah.
But then I learned, like, oh shit, that is not why those things melted. So yeah, they even the second time watching this, there were some things I was like, oh, I forgot about that. And so after that, um, where are we in this movie? Yeah. We just see some random crime boss just bragging about things, and Talon and Robin show up and they just kind of fuck everybody's day in that room. And Talon is like, all right, finish him. And
Oh
Robin is like,
yeah.
we don't need to do that. We can put him away for life. We have all the evidence. Like, we don't need to do all that. Like, trying to basically convince Talon that, like, there's no point.
Uh-huh.
But Talon is like, do it, boy. Like, that's why we're here. Like, you've still got Batman in your head, and I don't like it.
I think this is a point in the movie I got confused just a little bit, just because when he started arguing with Robin for not doing it, I was like, he said like we've been at this for like 3 nights now, and I'm like, it's been a time span of 3 nights already since this? I'm like, has Damien just been sneaking out the whole time? Batman just knows that he's away. But then he said like, oh, I've been following you. Batman states, I've been following you anyway these past couple nights. That I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, he's been letting him. He's just been following him anyway. But
Yeah. And then we learn Talon's backstory, and we see that, Talon had some woes. He has some trauma that he's going to need to work through that he has not worked through. And then Batman shows up, and Batman is like, yeah, Talon's a problem that needs handling. And Robin is like, nah, you're not going after my guy. And Batman does, what?
Now,
I'm not.
This scene was probably also one of the I don't think it was the best fighting scene, but it really showed how much Batman was like holding back against Robin. Like,
oh yeah,
he played defensive the whole first half of the fight.
Correct.
He was not swinging.
He was not. So he was just trying to do, because Robin was like trying to, like, he was in attack mode, and Batman was just trying to not
defend,
get attacked.
Apprehend,
and we see Batman be like, all right.
Yeah, he got serious. When he got serious, he was whooping his ass.
I was like, ass. Like,
I'm like, bro, no, there is no way. Like, the scenes literally started to slow down. That's how bad he was. That's how bad he was whooping his ass. Like, the scene started to be just straight, direct hits.
Yep.
Just full force hits. And I'm like, oh, he's fucking him up right now. He's not caring no more.
Because I kept thinking in my head, like, Robin, just stop it. Just stop it, and it's going to be okay. Because after they fought, he was like, all right, let's go home.
Definitely, I said, nah.
Yeah.
I couldn't, nah.
Because, like, that's like, he beat his ass, and he was like, all right, let's go home. Like, I'm glad you got it out of your system, and, all that shit. Yeah, let's go.
Nah, the way them niggas was throwing hands, I would never let that go in my life. I was like, no, sir.
Yeah, no. Like, we're not just going, let's go home that.
And if I do, I'm gonna heal up. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna heal, and we gotta run that twos tomorrow. We gotta run that back tomorrow. Because ain't no way you gonna do that to me.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not a violent man, because I'm not the kind of person where we can, like, just fight and then be okay. Like,
and then that's just it. Nah. Like, I still got some anger, no matter what.
If I'm fighting, I'm fighting. Like, and yeah, like, if I am brought to the point of fighting, we're probably not okay. But some people, they can just fight and shake hands and be good.
All right, yeah, we good. No, sir. I cannot fuck with you ever again in my life, actually.
Yeah, because Batman was like, oh, he's just acting out a little bit.
No, that nigga was putting the paws on your head, because Damian
paws.
He doesn't aim for body. He aims for nothing but headshots. He jumps and is throwing straight kicks to your face every single time.
Yeah. So then, and that's the thing, in that moment, like, Batman says, like, Talon is right about one thing. This is where you make the decision. So, like, you decide, me or him. And Damian, is just an immature child, and he makes his choice, and he's got to live with that a little bit, because Batman says to him, like, they are using you to get to me, and Damian is like, oh, it's all about you, and it's like, well, yeah, and it hadn't been yet, but then it ended up being.
Yeah, I was kind of
which is another interesting piece, because, again, we are under the impression that the court knows. We find out that we and Damian find out at the same time. Oh, they didn't already know that.
Yeah, I was like, I was definitely confused for sure.
So, yeah, it's so good. So we find out that Talon and Samantha are fucking, and let me just say, in the dark, Talon and Nightwing look the same.
I genuinely, I knew I was the only person I thought. No, genuinely, when the scene first showed, I said, "Is that?"
That's what I genuinely
thought. Is that Dick?
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said. I said, "Is Dick dicking down Samantha?"
I was like, "What?
How did this happen?" And then he started talking, and I was like, "Oh, that's Talon." Okay.
Because I genuinely was thinking, like, "Whoa, when?" I'm like, in what storyline was Grayson Talon? I'm like, I know I ain't read a lot of stuff, but I know I've looked up a whole lot of stuff, and I ain't never ever seen that So I was definitely surprised for a second. Then when he started talking, I was like, okay. Then also, who I don't know who I need to see who the voice actor is for that because the voice made sense when he had the suit on.
But when he didn't, it
When
was
he
like
didn't, I was
this
like,
dude with these freckles,
this doesn't
just
seem
sounding menacing.
yeah, this the voice does not match the character design right now. I don't see it for him. He looks the voice sounds older, like
Yep.
40s, 50s, maybe. Talon looks like 20s,
He's a young man.
high
Because
20s,
that's the
yeah,
thing.
low
He
30s.
the fact that he looked like Nightwing means that in my head he should have sounded similar to Nightwing.
Yeah, yeah, somewhere around that age range. He did not sound like that. He sounded like a grown ass. I've been through some things and I drink Hennessy on
Which
my free time.
he has been through some things, and he probably does drink Hennessy and smoke menthols.
My man said, I do what I got to do when I can.
Yeah, like he has had a hard life, but that is where he and Samantha have the conversation. And one of the things that I wonder, I mean, another thing that I wonder, was Samantha only talking to Bruce because she was trying to recruit him to the court, or was she about to be fucking them both?
I thought she was doing it so she could recruit from the beginning. As soon as I found out she was a part of the court and then they tried to recruit Bruce, I was like, it makes sense. She was trying to get him a part of the court. Because and also that she has relations with Talon, I was like, okay, then yeah, she was just trying to get Bruce to be a part
I
in
agree.
some
Uh,
kind of form or fashion.
that is also, I am of that same opinion. I think that that is what the plan was from the beginning. That is how they met. Like, she facilitated their meeting and, set all of it up from jump.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
well, I don't know about that part.
or do you think she only started trying to recruit him after he showed her?
I think she tried to recruit him afterwards because Bruce says something at the end of the movie that made me assume he was still doing some kind of investigation on the Court of Owls before the movie started. And that led him to Samantha. He found out before he didn't find out beforehand, but he made a comment about at the end of the movie saying something like that's kind of what led me to start looking into Samantha or something like that. Um, so I think he plotted from the beginning, like he suspected something with Samantha. He went after her, and that's how the whole scenario started. And then she started recruiting for him.
Oh, I do not remember that. Okay.
It's at the very end when who is he talking to?
Probably
It's at
not.
it's literally like right before the credits type stuff. He's
Okay.
talking to somebody and he kind of mentions it.
Good. I am glad you caught that because I did not.
Yeah, and
And
I was like, damn, that's definitely a prepared ass Batman for you.
I mean, yeah, like yeah,
He was already suspecting. He was already like doing some kind of investigating and everything else. It just
because I thought that he had kind of come to terms with the fact that the court wasn't real, because whenever, like, well, I guess no, he does find out they're real because the thing where Talon left the owl feather happened before his date with Samantha, I guess.
mhm.
So okay.
Before they show to that scene, the that does happen. I don't know when he exactly had like reached out to Samantha. That was like right before or right after or whatever. In my mind, I thought it played a part in the sense of like Batman always holds on to his pain, like Dick said. He always holds on to his pain. He never shares it with nobody, but he always holds on to it. He never forgets. He always holds grudges. So I was assuming that he didn't assume that they were gone. He maybe just stopped investigating for a while, but then he picked back up on the investigation that led him to Samantha, and then that kind of like streamlined part of the movie.
Okay, that's good shit. Yeah, that's
Oh, when he said that at the end of the movie, I definitely was like, oh shoot. I was like, oh, this nigga's smart. oh, this this nigga really he there. Okay. He prepared for sure. He started the movie before the movie started. I feel it.
okay. Okay. So that's the conversation that Talon and Samantha have is when I find out that she's running the court. And Batman is investigating the court in the sewers, and they hit him with what I assume is fear toxin.
Yeah.
And because he says, like, you think this is the first time I've been drugged?
Yeah.
Y'all got me fucked up. I do this. And he needed to be saved by Nightwing and Alfred, which speaks to the it can't be done alone. You got to have a team.
Always.
That is always the case. And so we see at the court, Damian is about to be inducted, and they're basically like, you have to remove your mask because trust is a big thing here. And they see the Grand Master sees that, and so this is moment number 2 when, if you didn't realize Samantha was running things, that you see it because they like go up into her mask.
You're like, oh, this is her.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And so yeah, that's I guess the actual big reveal. And it's like, oh, if you're Robin, that means Bruce Wayne is Batman, and if we want to fuck with Batman, that means we need to kill you.
Facts.
That's a more effective plan than what the Talon, whatever you try to do, fuck that. Nah, we're not doing that. So Talon gets the order to kill Damian, and then he sees himself in Damian, and so he just starts killing the court. Now, whenever he told Samantha to run, I was like, oh, he's not gonna kill her.
Yeah. I definitely was thinking that same thing. I was like, oh, okay, like he's on a spare. That makes sense.
She's gonna get spared. Wrong again.
Yeah. And then to say you would do the same, I'm like, I'm not really sure how she would do the same, but
she absolutely would have done the same though.
I'm assuming she would for sure.
Like, as the leader of the Court of Owls, like, she would have, she was like, nah, you're a problem.
Oh, her first assumption was with Damian, which originally the plan was to get to train him and everything else. Oh, you're tied to Batman? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and torture you, kill you to bring him here for sure.
Yeah, because Talon's plan was to use Damian to replace him as like going through the undead process.
Yeah.
So that's when Damian was like, oh, you were using me. Batman was right.
Which, low key, there was a little bit of like, had a little bit of sympathy for Talon. Little bit of sympathy. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Okay.
Just the little bit of like bonding him and Robin had, just a little bit. I was like, like he
cares about this kid.
He cares about this kid.
And he really does see himself in this kid, and that's why he wants to I mean, kinda, because he was ready to sacrifice Damian.
He was, but when they said to kill him though, immediately he was just like, no. Like his immediate reaction was like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, but then he was like, as you wish, Grandmaster, and then that's when he looked at him, saw himself, and was like, no, fuck the court.
Yeah,
I'll take it from here.
So. He definitely had Talon had a sad story. I will admit that. That's why I think he was low-key a great villain.
Yeah. And he also, he said, like, I came from the gutter. Like, and he obviously didn't know Damian's backstory because Damian grew up with like the level of entitlement that Damian has, and the level of wealth dwarfs probably anyone in the court.
Yeah.
With the amount of time that Raish has been alive. And it looked like the court and Raish were trying to do the same thing. The court was just trying to do it on a smaller scale. Like, Raish was trying to take over the planet. The court just wanted Gotham.
Yeah. I
but
mean,
they were kind of going about it in the same way. So this is, another situation where Batman finds himself against a very a very large syndicate that has a lot of power and influence, that is trying to create an army that will allow them to take over whatever thing they're trying to take over.
that's actually exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like at one point, I definitely wasn't even considering Talon to be. He's a great villain, but I wasn't even considering him to be like the problem. I was like, oh, there's the Court of Owls in general.
Yes, like the whole court is like, this is Batman versus the Court of Owls.
Yeah, they are the problem. It's not Talon. He's just a
Talon is,
character.
yeah, he's just the muscle.
Yeah,
like he's the sword for the court, but the court is calling the shots. The court is the one running things. The court, yeah, like that's what this felt like. And so,
which if they did a live action, like if they were to take what's that nigga name? Robert Pattinson? That's
his
his name?
Batman, yes,
Yeah, the current Batman. If they were to take his version of Batman in that universe, because it has more darker themed, and they would make that a Court of Owls version, I would see that movie being top tier. Court of Owls seemed like it has a lot of like promise to be very dark in the sense of how things is happening and going, and Talon being kind of a darker character. I can see Robert Pattinson's Batman being a very good that, and I forgot the other guy's name. The one who did the last trilogy.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale. I don't know why his name escaped me, but after the last one, if they did the Court of Owls, I think it would have been bomb too. It had a more serious, darker tone.
Yeah, and I'm just now realizing that this movie has a pretty good amount in common with Son of Batman, in that the syndicate that is the problem gets taken over by somebody who was a part of that syndicate, who's very, very skilled. And they kill the leader and then take the shit over.
I literally was thinking that same thing. I was like, and this is another way a whole syndicate goes down without Batman really having to do anything. He just now has to fight whatever skilled individual was there.
Yeah, like the main guy who kind of like cut the head off,
basically,
and became So yeah, Talon doesn't know about Damien's upbringing, which is why I think he saw a lot of himself in Damien, because he kind of assumed that they had similar lives. But it's like, no, Damien like, yeah, like the spoon in his mouth was platinum.
He's not complaining about how he was raised.
One bit.
He's not. He references his grandfather all the time.
All the time. Like, loved his grandfather.
Love that man.
Yep. So yeah. Okay. But he wasn't, it was none of his business, so that's fine. So Talon murders a lot of the court, and then takes it over and is like, all right, we're going to Wayne Manor now. And so he does that, and Batman and Nightwing know it's coming, so they're like, all right, let's go. We're doing this. And Robin is put into like a case where because it sounded like Talon was like, you'll be safe in here.
Okay, yeah, that's also what I was assuming. Like, he was trying to make it seem like he was trying to preserve him, or he was trying to keep him like waiting, basically almost as if like, you'll still be here when I come back, basically.
Yeah, but I was like, you're gonna put him in a tank of water
around him? Yeah, it made no sense. I'm like, I could have sworn maybe it was supposed to like the fluid is supposed to fill his body, and it's supposed to keep him in like a frozen state or something like that. But when he's acting like he's almost basically dying when he breaks out, I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah,
was he trying to kill him?
I don't understand what that was. So, because I was like, the fact that you didn't kill him means that you didn't want to kill him, but you put him in a tank of water. Like,
it was like, all right, I'll be back.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what. Yeah, like maybe the tank was gonna do something. But yeah, the way I saw it, like, no, Damien was put in that tank to die
because he was struggling. He was panicking.
because it was filling with water.
That's
Like,
why I also thought the liquid, because when they were showing the individuals in the middle of the movie, when they was explaining like how they're created and stuff like that, there was a woman who was in a tank and she was kind of like suspended, but I didn't know if that was water or some kind of special liquid or something. And it looked like that was the same thing they was putting Damien in.
yeah, and that's true. Like anytime we see people suspended, it is usually in liquid. But the fact that Damien was awake
And he was
and
acting like he was basically dying. He was trying to quickly get out. He started coughing up everything. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is
yeah,
going
like
on. But
I didn't understand that. But okay, so they show up and yeah, we start going to work. Robin is able to contact Alfred and say, "Hey, freeze him out." That's the move. Batman gets the mech suit, and Alfred got that motherfucking bop gun.
he definitely
I love seeing Alfred go to work.
he definitely was putting in work.
Yeah, Alfred. Yeah, Alfred was in there bopping those dudes. It was so great. Yeah, I love it when Alfred gets his hands in there. But
Everybody was really putting the pause. I was not feeling Nightwing and them fucking batons. Like they just don't do it. And he has some good scenes. He has some good scenes, but it's like I just hear ding 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 ding. And then it's just like you're not really, it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. Batman, meanwhile, was fucking them up the whole, putting hands on them the whole way through.
yeah, the batons are very non-lethal.
It is just,
So
yeah, it feels like Batman's hands are more lethal than batons.
I would agree. I think Batman's hands are more lethal than those batons. But maybe Nightwing's are not, and that's why he has the batons. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say, just kind of as a black person, batons aren't great. But whatever. That's okay.
As
So
a superhero, that's your weapon of choice.
yeah, like probably not, like, not ideal,
I'm like,
but whatever.
I'm gonna stay away from that guy.
Yeah. But yeah, they're able to freeze him out, and then Batman and Talon, they have their one-on-one, and Batman is not winning. Like, it's not looking good for him.
Yeah, that was great choreography.
And that kind of speaks to the whole, like, Talon is willing to go places that Batman's not. And we see pretty clearly that because in the last movie we saw him go up with Slade, and Slade got his ass whooped.
Yeah, that was that was just basically like an unfair fight. He was whooping his ass easy.
Yeah, like Batman was just beating up an old man.
There was nothing to it. This one, it definitely, I love the choreography. It felt more.
Yeah, Talon is in his prime.
Yeah, it felt like an actual exchange of hands given.
And whenever Talon fought Nightwing, he kind of defeated him easily.
He whooped his. I was like, bro. I literally was thinking like, okay, this is why Nightwing is just not getting justice, because he is losing. I feel like he's losing every fight. Every fight he's been in, he's almost like he's not fully winning. It doesn't feel like he's fully winning. It feels like he's basically getting it handed to him that he might come out on top, but majority of the time I feel like he's losing. Like Talon basically watched that man and then said, all right, next person.
And that's the thing. He said, you would have made a good Talon, which I thought was funny because I was like, see, y'all look alike.
Same person.
In the dark. In the dark, like they look alike. But yeah, when the lights is on, no. But yeah, that was funny. But yeah, he beat his ass. And one thing that, Talon did have, I think that Talon did so well against Batman because Batman had a lot to do up until that moment. So it was a tired Batman versus a pretty fresh Talon. And so had they both been at 100%, things may have gone a little differently. I don't know if that was taken into consideration or if that even mattered under the circumstances, trying to create stakes. But the way I saw it, Batman has been fighting immortal owl assassins for 30 minutes, and then Talon gonna come through and be like, all right, my turn.
Jump up in there. He was definitely putting their hands on him though. He was fucking
Yeah,
him up. I was like,
Talon,
oh, this
he
is
was
best
too
move.
much. Like, I will not take anything away from Talon. Talon was a fucking problem.
It was a. I did feel like Damien jumping in. I was like, okay, I'm happy to see that he's jumping in, but yeah, it kind of felt like Damien still shouldn't. He shouldn't have won that. I am gonna cap to you.
Well, Talon did just fight Batman, so like
Yeah, I was like, I get.
that
Yeah,
whole being tired, like
he's going through it. I was like, oh, he shouldn't. He still shouldn't have won that. He was whooping his ass, to be honest.
and the thing is, he decided to. The way that he went out was kind of terrible because what he did was it felt like the kind of mind games that Slade would play
Yeah,
because Talon knew that Damien was doing his best not to be a killer. Like he was trying to live by Batman's code of justice, not vengeance. And the fact that Talon essentially made Damien kill him, but like, killed himself, like he knew that was going to traumatize Damien. And that's why he did it.
but it's like I still just even if he knew, it still felt like there was no purpose. Like I really didn't. I don't know what his motive. What was his meaning?
That's the thing.
Like, was he wanting Damien to replace him? Like, was he wanting Damien to grow up and be him with trauma or something? Or like, it just felt like
I'm
it
in that
happened, and I
same
was like, why the fuck did he do that?
I'm in that same boat. Like I was trying to figure out where Talon stood with Damien because at moments he was like, I love this kid as my own. In other moments he was like, fuck this kid. This kid means nothing to me.
Yeah,
And he just teetered between those two randomly because the reason he didn't kill him was because he saw himself in him, but he was about to sacrifice him to the greater cause for the owls. He tried to preserve him in that liquid, but then decided to traumatize him by making him kill him. Like I don't know.
I don't know if he was like in like a fuck it way and like, oh, you sided with Batman anyway. My life has been horrible. I took out the court, so I might as well just kill myself anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I was thinking. Then I was like, I don't know. It still just feel like it came out of like he never gave suicidal. So I'm not sure where this type of energy came from.
I agree. Like it feels like it was very directly to fuck with Damien.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way.
And it may have been it could have been a situation where Talon felt like if I make him kill me, that will send Damien back to his killing ways, or like I don't know what Talon's goal was there, but the fact that he died and we'll just never know.
Yeah, I was like, that honestly just no motive, no nothing. It just happened. And dude disappeared. Yeah, that was it.
And I kind of like the mystery of never knowing.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I mean, they didn't make it seem like Damien had like trauma from it a little bit. I mean, he did go to the
I mean, Damien was like, no.
yeah. It
And
felt bad in that moment. You know what I'm saying? He was like, no. Then he went to Batman. He was like, oh, I tried. I didn't want to. Da, da, da. Like,
yeah,
I was like,
I
okay.
I don't know because I know Damien probably felt bad because he's trying to be better, but like also Damien has a body count.
Yeah, I was like, he's done this 1,000 times already. So, maybe it was just his pride thing of letting down his dad, maybe.
Maybe I think that Damien is trying to be better, and
For
I
sure.
think that this did fuck with him a little bit
Yeah.
because Damien, I know that if somebody is trying to be better and trying to do good and like actually doing their best, and then somebody comes along and just
Fucks all that up
ruins
for
it,
you.
yeah, then it hurts. But yeah, I see. I would like to know what Talon was thinking, but also I'm kind of okay with the fact that we'll just never know, and we have to put that together in our own heads.
Yeah.
So then Damien is like, "Hey, I need to go find myself because I have way too many voices in my head and I don't know who I am. And Damian assumes that behind this, Batman is going to send him to military school. It's like, no. I'm going to send you to the monks because they will hopefully help you find yourself. And so, yeah. I imagine this takes inspiration from numerous comic books, but the one that I'm aware of is the Batman Night of Owls. And in one of the things that I remember from that is taken from this is the assassin showing up at the manor and Batman getting in the bat suit and like him freezing it out to deal with
Take care of him.
Yeah, like that absolutely I remember that happening in the comic book. But yeah. So Juice Man, scale of 1 to 10.
Oh,
What are you thinking?
This movie was a 10 for sure. I 10. 10. You know what? 20 out of a 10. This is one of the better animated movies I've ever seen. Like, no cap. I was glued the whole movie. I loved all fighting scenes. I loved the storytelling. Storytelling of the movie was amazing. Character development was amazing. Emotions was amazing. Dialogue, all of it. This movie was like, to feel so excited to where I feel like I need to watch the next one just because I know it's like a follow-up made me realize, oh no, these are golden. These are good because the first one, Batman, what was it? Batman, Son of Batman. It lacked a little bit of storytelling and it felt like it was kind of straightforward. The movie felt straightforward. The fact that this movie felt like it kept me guessing. I couldn't guess what was going to happen next. And things were happening in a way of it was storytelling and there was dialogue on top of excellent fighting scenes. Yeah, I was like, no, this movie is super tough. And I would recommend someone to go like watch the movie. Because if you've never seen any Batman animated movies and you're just like, I don't know what I don't really give that type of energy towards these things or anything of that sort. If you really want to be intrigued, start with this movie, and I guarantee you'll be hooked. Like, I can guarantee anybody who started with this movie will be hooked into this movie.
This shouldn't be the first movie that you watch, folks, but if it is, I mean, yeah, it'll get you in there. I'm giving this movie a 9. I really loved it. I had a great time with it. And yeah, there are a lot of things that happened that like kept you thinking.
Yeah.
Like, this movie gets your mind going more than you think it should.
For like, an animated Batman movie, yeah, didn't think it was going to be causing me to my mouth drop any or be surprised at any point, but no, it definitely was that.
Yeah, like I think that this was very good storytelling. I absolutely agree with that. So, anything else on the movie?
The cussing on it was very interesting. He said when he was in the suit, what did he say? Now I gotta look at the lyrics.
I think he called them sons of bitches.
He definitely said sons of bitches. That's exactly what he said. I just don't know in which way he said it, because he didn't just say sons of bitches. He said it in a sentence.
Yeah.
But when he said that, I said,
Was that a good or a bad?
I said, this is interesting. It was a good because it was like one of those things where it's like they're already in a very good scene. Like, they're already in a good fighting scene. And so the viewer's already super glued to the movie. And so when he pulls that sons of bitches out, it's kind of like, okay. That's kind of corny, but it's interesting. Like, it was just one of those, like, that was corny, but it's still interesting. It's still this it adds to the scene. It doesn't take away for sure.
Okay.
Um, it was that, and somebody I thought somebody dropped the F bomb. It might not been.
I don't think
Um,
there was an F bomb in this movie.
I don't think
I feel like there may have been a shit in this movie,
there
but
was a lot of dams.
a lot of dams.
There was a lot of dams, and the sons of bitches. I think it's because he said it so strongly. I think is why it caught me like a little bit just off guard and made me laugh. Like it's one of those like I chuckled, I smiled, and I'm like, all right. He really just put that out. All right.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
other
Okay.
than that, yeah, it was pretty solid. Overall, I did love the movie.
Excellent. Excellent. I also had a good time. Well, all right. In the next episode, we will be discussing Justice League Gods and Monsters. So until then, salutations.